car door open and you want this happening. But again, it's kind of ironic how, you know, certain things have changed, but then other things kind of stay the same.
Yeah, it's true. But I'm gonna open the floor up to the fans, the viewers that's watching. They got some questions for y'all. So anybody can take the question because they didn't specify who the question wanted to. They wanted to know what kind of relationships do the kids have with their mothers now? Anybody can take it.
Oh, my son, again, you would not believe how far apart he and his mother and I are as far as a relationship between she and I. We can barely talk to each other. But when it comes to him, you will not find two people that work so hard together to raise a child. And I give her all the kudos in the world that she was there for him every game, every PTA meet, every whatever, you know, again, in the entire time, there was never a discussion about who was to keep him. You know, one day he got sick, and I called her, and I always called her, and she called me. He's sick. I'm taking him to the doctors. I'll be there. So both of us sit up in the takeoff and sit in the doctor's office. And we work together. We were leaving. He looked at me and looked out the window. I said, "You want to be with your mom?" He said, "Yeah." I called her on the phone and said, "Look, he wants to be with you, not me, because he was sick. He didn't want to be with his dad. He wanted to be with his mom." So she took off, and I admire all that from her, that, you know, that she did not let her job, her career, or people or guys that she was dating interfere with the relationship she had with him. And again, and we all the thing we had to do was call and say, "Look, I got a meeting this weekend. I can't keep him." And that was it. There was no discussion, never.
Okay. Anybody else want to touch on that?
Yeah. I mean, for me, my daughter and her mother, you know, they have a good relationship, because my main problem with my ex, or the main problem we had together, you know, was financial and finances and handling money. And, you know, so we never really, we don't really have a lot of beef. We don't really have a lot of arguments, except for money. So if we take the whole money situation out of it, then we cool, we cordial, we can talk, we can whatever. So once we split up and we didn't have to depend on each other financially anymore, we cool. So, you know, in terms of her, you know, motherly duties or whatever, she took care of, you know, when she was in the state here and my daughter was over there, you know, she took care of her. She was there for her. They talk about things, they do things, you know, they have their own little things. So, and I never badmouthed her mother or anything like that. So, you know, she never really saw the shortcomings per se, because it was, like I said, it was mainly financial. So their relationship is you know, is really good. I mean, she understands now, you know, some of the things, like now, you know, she's in college now. So, you know, some of the things she was like, yeah, well, you know, she was expecting that to come from her mom and it's not coming. Then now she's kind of seeing some of the things, because now the money affects her. Now the money is to her. You know what I mean? Before, all the money, you know, was taken care of. She never had to see the bills. She never had to see the expenses. But now she's seeing it. But I mean, they still have a great relationship, and I'm good with that. I would never want her to not be close to her mom. And like I said, in everything else, her mom always, you know, she's always there for her, emotional support, all of that, you know, everything else. So, you know, they have a really good relationship.
Got you. So somebody said, I'm asking this, coming straight to you, Warren. I think this is directed to you. Initially, did you feel like you needed to find a wife to help you, or did you feel some resentment because of the mother and preferred to be single?
Man. So, I probably prefer to be single, because when this is what got me. So I get off work. Mama got a list of things. She's little, and I'm like, no, I mean, now I'm not knocking moms. Everybody need their mom. I got mine. He got his. I never bad mouth her to him ever. But I would see long lists of items that I felt like wasn't needed. So once things did split up, and it was just totally me, I could cut the list in half I know it was about, it was finances. So once I got control and had an understanding of, about spending of the money and picking them up, got the routine down. Once I got tight with the routine, I felt like I didn't really need the mom. I mean, because he got the mom, he got 5 aunts, right, 2 grandmas, it's a lot of women in the family. So, and all the holidays, he would go with either my brother or the aunt, grandma. I hardly spent any holidays with him for the first 15 years. I would always make sure he was with his cousins, his grandmas, his aunt, his uncles. He knew everybody. And then, when it wasn't the holidays, I would send him there. He lived with me. So I just got used to being in control without all the extra negotiations, and the talking. And, we still good now. I talked to her yesterday. I talked to both of them. We friends. Everything's good. But, they say I'm a control freak, but, I learned how to be in control because I didn't have a choice. I really didn't have a choice. I didn't have a choice. I had to learn. I had to learn how to take over. Either I was going to do it, somebody else was going to do it for me. Put me on top. They would ask me for like 5, 6, 7 years could they rate, for a year in, a year out, month in, a month out, and I would say no. One year I did let them because I got sick and I was in the hospital for about a month. But especially my boy, it was my son, and I felt like I knew what was best for him. I had good friends, I had good family, and I wanted to see if I could do it. Be honest with you, I really wanted to see could I do it. Once the mother, I wanted the family, but once the mom decided she, wasn't really interested in being in a family unit, rather than try to bring in somebody that's not his mother, because nobody loves you like your mom. Nobody's gonna love you like your mama. Nobody's gonna love you like your mom. So rather than me trying to force something, because I did have relationships, and if they make a comment, you make a comment, I can't, can't make comments about me. I can't make comments about your kid. You go to a woman's house and make a comment, they don't put you out. And so I was the same way.
That's true.
Go to a woman's house that got kids and say, "Hey, Junior, he talked too loud." Oh, next thing you know, you gotta go. You're gonna have to leave. So I was the same way. I'm dating. He's little. They come over. They slip. You're gone. I didn't play them games even when I was little because they didn't play it because I knew that it made it easier.
Right.
It just made it easier, So.
Right. We got another question for all 3 of y'all. Did taking care of your kids get in the way of you finding a wife?
Yes.
Anybody can answer.
I'm sure it did because, again, I meet people and the first thing most of them would say, "Well, why is he with you?" And then I said, "Tell him this, well, he needs to be with his mom." And so, and you don't have all the time, to date properly, whatever. And with all the things that happen to kids in relationships, I made sure that the people I was dating, did not meet him until I was comfortable with them. And so anything that added to the challenge of relationship made it difficult because I've been single now since 90. I divorced his mom in 92. And so, I've been single a long time, and yeah, it'd be nice to be in a relationship, but again, it's challenging that and in a good situation, but then when a child is involved, it makes it more difficult.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Myra.
I'll say this: having a child definitely cost me some relationships. That's unquestioned. But if I really think about it, most of those people most of those relationships that it cost me, I wouldn't want that person as a wife.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But there were some, that had really good potential. And what it was is they wanted to have their own family. They didn't want to, you know what I mean? They wanted their first child to be us.
Right.
So I think maybe in that sense, maybe a couple of those or one of those, whatever, could have been a potential wife that would have been good. But really and truly, I don't think it cost me anybody that was really, really like wifey material. So I would say no, it didn't. It hasn't stopped me from finding a wife, even though it has definitely cost me some relationships.
Okay. What about you, Warren?
It cost me my last relationship 4 years ago. My son, I don't want to put stuff like that. So
You don't have to put his stuff. You don't have to. You don't have
no,
to.
I'm not. He's here actually. He know I done told him this stuff already. He comes, he goes, he gets out of high school. So he leaves for the summer. Me and her, then he goes to college. Me and her. So now all of a sudden things ain't working out as school. It comes back to the house. Next thing you
What?
know, I'm getting. Next thing you know, him, the lady I'm dating, he don't really necessarily. He's big, he's 18 now, so they, when they that age, they look different. Next thing you know, I'm getting texts about my son, some ugly stuff, some ugly things. He's saying some ugly things, and somebody I've known for a very long. I knew her for a long time. We got kids the same age, actually, and that ended it. Once I come home, once I get to the house, I explode. You can't say those things, but the thing was, she wanted me for herself. She thought it was gone. I thought it was gone.
Yeah, it's what it seems like is the guys that are not dedicated to their own kids do pretty well in relationships with people. I mean, I see a lot of guys, but they're not taking care of their kids, their own kids, but they'll take care of her kids, and it seems to work better that way.
That's ass backwards, Mike. That's ass backwards.
These two guys that you're talking to, that's on here, they're dedicated to their kids. That's probably why they are still separated. Now, if they gave up their kids and started spending time with her kids and kind of like, they'd probably be married by now and doing their thing, but they wouldn't be happy. And I know definitely I wouldn't be happy.
You don't get no blessings like that.
True.
I mean, I understand, but look at those guys that are doing well in a relationship. They don't have much of a relationship with their own kids.
Right?
But they not happy though. Now if I take them guys to the side, bring them to my house, and we sitting around, they ain't happy. They not happy because they ain't even got no. I mean, what guy is really a man that ain't got no relationship with your blood, dog? That don't work. Where does that work at? That doesn't work, man.
It doesn't, but actually, when you look at it,
not over no relationship.
Well, but when you look at it as two, gentlemen, is that like you just said, Mike, they want relationships with their children, but they don't want you to deal with your children. But I believe the good book says in Proverbs 22:6 says, train up a child in the way he should go. Even when he is old, he will not depart from it. So basically, what I get from that is like, you have to take care of your responsibility. You can't go this route just to make her happy. Why can't we do this all together? I got my children, you got your children. We are in this together, being a family. Instead of me making me pick or choose. You can't make me pick or choose. I can't pick over thy loin. I can't.
Well, I call it cowardness. They're worried about, I think some guys are worried about that. The lady, the mouth, what she's gonna say, the mother that comes with the child that you had the kid with. And you got to stand your ground. You have to stand your ground because at the end of the day, they're gonna respect you. The women you date and the women that you know, they're gonna respect you. Even if it splits up the relationship, At least they know you stood your ground and drew a line in the sand. Where the guy that is willing to put his kids to the side as a single man, and they bash. They bash guys like that. Guys that put kids to the side, and when I'm dating women and stuff, or I'm friends with women and guys that really like they can push to the side or cut the family, or cut the line family, they'll come around and be like, yo, they'll talk about him like a dog. He don't know they're talking about him like a dog, but to another man that got a kid, they'll bash him, they'll talk about him like a dog, they'll throw him under the bus, they'll go back home to him. But to me, when they come around me, and I've had my kids around me, I've had my kids and other kids, I've had a whole bunch of kids around me. I've raised a whole lot of kids. You know, they'll throw them under the bus, they'll bash them, they'll do whatever. And they won't be the person that you think they are when they go home. Because I'm telling you, they don't think you're a man. I mean, I just know. I hear it all the time. You know?
Well, I got you. I got you. Because go ahead, Mike. Go ahead, Mike.
I didn't mention. I did get married, and it was only lasted a year, and it was all. She had 2 kids, and I had 1, and it was all about her kids, and that's why we didn't. You know, we agreed. Look, yeah, you got to go because it's all about your child, your kids, and your ex and all this, and my son is being second to this, so this ain't gonna work, and so we separated.
You gotta treat them as equal, but I know we done ran over time, but I got 2 questions I need to ask y'all really quick. Well, 3, because I'm gonna push 3 in here. So each one, keep it short and sweet. First, I want to know, what was your scariest moment being a single dad?
Scariest moment is because it was my son was not feeling well one evening, and my mom, I'm living in Greensboro or High Point, and she lives near Fayetteville. So I called my mom and said, look, I need to bring Tony. He's not feeling well. Took him down to my mom's house, dropped him off. I wasn't 20 miles away before she decided she needed to carry him to the emergency room. Found out he has a tonsillitis. And that whole thing scared to death because me being a guy, never thinking about being a father, I never thought about those things. It was obvious to my mom. And it may have been obvious to a lady, if you'd been married, that he actually could have died from that. So that was thing that really causes a lot of stress for me was not being able to recognize some of the things that I wasn't prepared to recognize and know as a father.
Okay, as you saved them, good getting grandma involved. Grandma knows best. What about you, Warren? What is the scariest moment? What was your scariest moment being a single dad?
I guess it would be illness. I had 1,000 scary moments. I think it was 1,000 different things, but probably he had hold on, maybe pneumonia. He caught pneumonia. He was a baby, and he's throwing up sick. And I was by myself. Nobody was coming. So I take him to the hospital, and we in there 8-9 hours, and that was scary. Another getting left. Getting left at daycare once. His mom left. Anyway, I have 1,000 scary moments, but that was one of them. The pneumonia, getting sick. That was scary.
Got you. What about you, Myra?
I mean, I guess the scariest moment, the single dad part of it, was again dealing with that prom, because, you know, her mom had actually said she was going to come up and deal with all of this stuff for her prom, and then she said something happened and she couldn't make it up. So I had to be, getting dressed and doing all that. And then just thinking about the prom overall, like, it really sinks in when you think about what you did back at your prom, and then now looking and seeing like your daughter's going to the prom, and just trying to put those 2 things, look at those 2 things. You just like, yo, if she with some knucklehead like I was back in the day on my prom night and what I was getting into and trying to get into, I was just like, yo.
You was tossing and turning, until she got home.
Oh, man, let me tell you, I was sweating bullets that whole evening. Like, yo, just let her come home, let her be all right, let her not, try no story like, oh, this happened, we got a flat tire, so I'm gonna be real late when she really off somewhere, whatever. I'm just like, yo, it was nerve-wracking.
Got you. What about you, Mike?
Me, my scariest moment.
No, you already went. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, so okay, we got 2 more questions. Keep it short and sweet because we already ran over. What is your proudest moment about being a single dad? You can go, Mike.
Man, look, I can't name the number of things that my son has done because my son was an academic scholar, finished like third in his high school, man. He finished #1. He played football for Appalachian, finished #1 in his classroom in architecture, engineering, and design while playing football. Probably the proudest moment, he was one of 16 kids that received the National Football Foundation Scholar Athletes of the Year. Out of all the football players in the nation, the 16 received it, and he was one of those. And then he had an opportunity to get drafted and play in the NFL for 3 years. So, I mean, I can tell people this right now. I can tell y'all guys this. We've had our moments in his 30 years, and that's it. I've never had one bad day with this young man. So my whole proudest moment is just his entire life to see where he is right now. And actually, if y'all kept up with Coastal Carolina, he is the wide receiver coach at Coastal Carolina that went 11-0 before losing in the bowl game. So, they were ranked number 14 this year nationally. So I can't say enough about this young man. I'm proud to just know him, not as a son necessarily, but just as a person. He has caused me to be a different person himself. And I think Warren mentioned that too. He caused me to be the man I am today.
Okay. What about you, Warren? What's your proudest moment being a single dad?
Wow, like Mike said earlier, I got quite a few. I mean, we work together now. He's out there with me now. Then he's almost 3 years. Just who he turned out to be, very respectful. The compliments. Actually, I get a lot of compliments, from others. I get a lot of compliments about his demeanor, how he carries himself very well. I would have him come in, he's sweet, but he conducts himself very well. When we're out, and I introduce, he'll come in with hands, shaking hands. The things that I taught him, he's doing it. I can either him and the daughter. I can have people come over here, and I don't even got to say nothing. They will conduct conversations themselves in a very respectful and clear manner. And those things, when I get the compliments, those everything. I love being a parent.
I got you. What about you, Myra? What's your proudest moment?
I think it's the same as Warren. There's a lot of proud moments, but most of the proudest ones has been where somebody has come and say, your daughter really stands out, from something. Like about, she's in college now. Matter of fact, one of my proudest moments is going to be in a couple months when she graduates from college.
Oh, congratulations.
But about a year ago, thank you. About a year ago, I went down to they had a parents' weekend at her school. And the head of her department, while we were walking around on campus, the head of the department saw her and saw me and kind of figured it out. And he made it a point to come over, and he was just like, I really wanted to meet you because I want to let you know, all the great things that your daughter is doing, and how she's, he's heard from the different professors in the department how great of a person she is, and that. And I was just like, for the head of a department at a college, especially a PWI college, to really seek you out, to let you know that, that to me really said something. And that, that just made me feel like, we did the job, because I'm not taking the credit. Me and her mother and our family and our dance studio and whatever, we did the right job in raising her. And that's what I'm most proud of.
So last question. Go ahead.
One time, me and him at McDonald's, right? Me and my son were at McDonald's. Older lady comes up to us and said, I feel so good that he's pants ain't sag. Yeah. And he don't do the sag. His ass ain't out. His pants is up. I mean, just small things like that. People watch it. People see. You know what I mean? And things like that, you know, that kind of stuff, it means a lot because, you know, there's other young men out here that, you know, they need to pull their pants up too. You know, they ask to be out like, I mean, but those kinds of things. He's young. He's not sagging like that. I mean, and that might not be a big thing, but that is that could when somebody comes up to you in McDonald's and says that, that's an older generation. That meant a lot to me, and it meant a lot to him. I think he might have told me to pull my pants up one time. So that's I'm done.
Okay, so now you know this is the final question tonight. So there's young brothers out there that's probably going through the same situation that you went through, you know, being 20, 21, 19, 22. What would you tell them how would you, you know, what would you tell them? What type of advice would you give them, you know, about being a single dad that's going through the same things that you went through that you know now? What would you be able to reflect on to tell the youth 2021? Anybody can speak out first.
Go ahead, Myron.
I would say the biggest thing I would tell anybody is use the resources that you have. You know what I mean? Whether that be friends, that be family. In my case, it was, you know, my daughter's dance studio. A lot of the parents there really, you know, really helped out, you know, because there were times where I couldn't pick her up. They picked her up, brought her home. You know, they would, you know, if they're taking their kid out to the movies, they take her with them. You know what I mean? Use the resources that you have, because there are family, there are friends, there are, you know, whatever organizations that you're a part of, people will help out. And the other thing I'd say is, it's tough. There's going to be times where, you know, you're not sure whether it's money or whatever. There's going to be times it's going to be real tough. But if you stick to it and if you really go through it, it will all be worth it when you see, you know, when you see what your child has become because of you. It's worth it.
Right. And anybody can speak.
I say, me personally, one of the big things I say is to, regardless of how rough it gets, how ugly it can get, the dealings with the mother, you know, don't throw the mom under the bus in front of the kids. Don't use the kids as to talk to throw the mom under the bus just because y'all not getting along. Because the kid will grow up to be a grown up, and they can express themselves to that parent, whether it be a father or dad. And I have good relationships with both of the moms because first I didn't throw them under the bus, and then two, as a man, I have to understand, you know, it is women. Okay, men and women, we want to be equal, but men are different and women are different. And you gotta learn how to try to definitely communicate with the moms, even when they hollering and screaming. Let them get it out, and then once they get it out, don't pick up that energy and start hollering and screaming. You let them get it out. Then you talk calmly, and if you do it enough, and you do it long enough, and you stay consistent with your personality and stay calm, they will calm down, and eventually, it might not be how you want it. It can get better because the kids do become grown ups eventually. And then, like I tell the kids, you're gonna be grown longer than you're gonna be kids. So when the guys are young and they fussing with the mothers and the moms might be turning up. You can't let that make you get out of control. And don't try not to disrespect them. Respect the mothers. Don't throw them under the bus. And as the years go on, they will appreciate all that stuff. And you can kind of build bridges. Don't try to burn that bridge with mom. That's the big thing. Just try to make sure that relationship with them. You ain't got to be together, but try to make sure that relationship with the mothers is as strong as possible, as strong as you can make it. You know, I mean, as strong as you can, and don't throw them under the bus in front of the kids. That's number one. Don't throw them under that bus. The kids know, they see, and when they get grown, they can express themselves. But that ain't for you to be spending days and nights, and every time you see them talking about how your mom ain't this and your mom ain't that, or your mom is holding on money, or she ain't. That's between you and her. The kid has nothing to do with that. Leave that out, and then when they get grown, because I had it happen. Once he got grown, he expressed himself, and then the mom called me crying. Talking about he said, and I told you 20 years ago this was gonna happen, but that's not my job to do that. But me and her are still cool because I wasn't doing that extra stuff. That's it.
Okay. What about you, Mike?
I'm getting ready to repeat probably what you just heard, but Myron, again, that's my family, you know, was there for me. I got sick one day. My sister drove from Fayetteville, picked my son up and carried him home. So that connection of people around you and friends, that's paramount. And I don't know, maybe Warren and I are the same people, because one thing that I said when I divorced, that I would never say anything to anybody negatively about my son's mom, because I always figured if I was talking about her, I was talking about myself, because I married her and had a child. And I didn't want my son growing up with an image of her being anything but what he decided she was. And so I'll finish this up to say, and I talked with a young man today that he calls me periodically about advice, because he just had a child and going through a divorce, and his mom's keeping him from the child or whatever. So it's a problem. What I would tell you, and I think this goes with what Warren said, stay focused not on the person that you're separating with, focus totally on the child. Every decision I made in my divorce and separation was not to get back at her. It maybe not made her happy, but I would ask myself, am I focused on her or am I focused on him? If you stay focused on the child, on the best benefit of the child, regardless of who gets hurt, whether it's the mother, whether it's the grandmother, whether it's the mother-in-law, the father-in-law, all these other people, sisters and brothers that think they're going to have a relationship with your child, those aren't important. The most important thing is to focus on your child and make sure that you don't focus on her, and speak well of his mom, and make sure whatever decision you make is at the best benefit of that child that you're trying to raise.
Got you. But definitely the host of the Velvet Room, she'll be on tomorrow. Rhonda said you guys deserve the big piece of chicken. You earned it.
I need that leg quarter. Get that leg quarter.
For myself, thank you, Michael. Thank you, Warren. Thank you, Myron, for coming on and sharing your stories. And I wanted to do this because the cliche is always, the moms always have the children. And it's time to shed some light on the brothers that stepped up. And I don't know if y'all saw the promo earlier. I dropped Flex 1-on-1, the TV show that came on UPN. That was part of the promo, how he was raising his daughter. So big ups to y'all,
Hey, Rod, let me say one thing.
Go ahead.
The other thing too is, tell these young guys to focus on, they have the same rights as the woman. The guys will let it go and let the woman have the rights. But again, realize that you have the same right. If you haven't done anything, abandonment, abuse, or infidelity, you have the same rights as to spend that time with that child. And don't argue with her, don't fuss with her, don't fuss with the woman about it. I mean, my son's mother threatened me only once, to say, I'm going to do this. I said, well, go ahead and do it. Because I was not going to talk with her about it. I was going to talk to my lawyer, let my lawyer talk to her lawyer, and we was going to get it straightened out that way, because fighting in front of the kids won't hurt. Stay focused on your kids and realize you have the same rights, and don't give them up unless you want to.
So that is definitely a great point, because a lot of people, don't understand. Like you just said, you have the same rights when you're speaking of the judicial system, but you went and got joint custody. They don't understand that. You have the same rights. This is it takes two to tangle, as my grandmother used to say. It takes two to tangle. So, you're not going to be able to make decisions, without my judgment as well. So you went and got the joint custody, which is great. as always. But I definitely want to big you guys up for stepping up, taking care of your sons and daughters and not, putting another statistic with our culture being a 0 or part-time. You guys became full-time, and that's great. Big ups to you, Myron, for your daughter get ready to graduate, college in a couple months. Mike getting your son to the NFL. Warren, you and your son, working together, having great times. Just big ups to you guys for definitely being in your sons and daughters' lives. I give y'all a big salute. And fathers are needed, man. No way you look around it. Fathers are needed as much as like to quote Chris Rock said and Bring the Pain. There's a song, Dear Mama, 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 Mama. What's the daddy song? Papa was a Rolling Stone. But y'all reversed the curse on this one. Y'all actually was there. You bigged it up. Definitely, I salute you guys. I wish I would have told Ava to tell y'all bring y'all kids on so we could see, but it's kind of too late in the day for it. But thank y'all for coming on and hanging out with me and hanging out with the Amsterdam crew for this evening. Thank